Well, you recall last week that we talked about an individual who was photographed a number of times in these communist demonstrations in Red Square in Moscow. Well, we've done a little research on this since our last broadcast, and lo and behold, this is a 16-year span, by the way, that this woman has been photographed, and Associated Press and on one occasion Reuters has offered this photograph to the world as an example of your typical communist in Red Square. Well, we find that these are 5 separate events with 4 different photographers. Now, I just want you to think about that if you're an odds maker in Las Vegas, of how often that would occur and the odds of it occurring over a period of time with 4 different photographers using the same woman in a 16-year span. It's pretty unusual. Another one that's kind of interesting in that regard is a series of articles that was done in the official Communist Party newspaper of the United States, the People's World. Yes, the Communist Party still exists. It did not wither away. It's just that it was done in such a way to sell to the American people that communism had died, so you wouldn't pay any attention to them anymore. But we have a fellow by the name of John Bechtel, and he's an Illinois organizer for the Communist Party USA and a member of their national committee. Now, he has done a series of articles in People's World, and you open it up and you see, well, gee, who is the People's World pushing, or who are the People's World pushing for office? And you look through here and, oh, a fellow by the name of Barack Obama, who is a state senator in Illinois. You go to the next issue of People's World, written by this fellow, and you look and see, well, here's Barack Obama again with this photograph with his little girl, touching little scene. You look through here, and what other candidates are they talking about? And, well, I guess that's it, just Barack Obama. Then you go to the next issue, and you open it up, and you see, well, who do they support? Who are they pushing? Well, here we have Barack Obama. What other candidates? Let's see here. There doesn't seem to be anybody else. And then you go to the next issue and you open it up and you say, well, where are the candidates they're supporting? And let's see, there doesn't seem to be anybody. And you keep going, oh yeah, Barack Obama. Then you go to the next issue. This is one a little bit later, in October of 2004, and we see, let's see, what candidates are they supporting? And, oh, here, they've got a rundown on the congressional candidates, but they've got a picture, of course, of Barack Obama. And then you go to just right after the election, and let's see, who do they talk about? Can't seem to, oh yes, Barack Obama. So it's very interesting that the official Communist Party newspaper, the People's World, seems to really be enamored with the man who became president of the United States. Now, I used to infiltrate communist and socialist organizations where I used to live as a youth. And let me tell you, when you see the communist and socialist apparatus in their newspapers and everything else, just happening to mention the same person over and over and over again in a glorified manner, it's a tip-off that something is very, very wrong. When you take a look at the czars that Obama put in right after he became president of the United States, they just happened to be an awful lot of Marxists in the mix. Some of them that came right out in the open and talked about the looking to Mao Zedong as a great philosopher, or even admitting that they were communists. Some of those people are gone now, but not all of them. We see also, when you look at the communist press and everything else, one of the things that you always see is this symbol. This and the hammer and sickle, but they don't usually show the hammer and sickle that often unless they're out on parade. what you see in their newspapers is symbols like this. Now this one happens to be the June 5th wall poster for the recall election of Governor Walker in the state of Wisconsin. In fact, if you look closely, they've even stylized it so that it is actually the state of Wisconsin. Here's Door County up in this area, and Green Bay, the bay is right in here. And at first glance, you miss that. But it's red, as it usually is. What a lot of people don't realize when they see these demonstrations, when they see these activities going on, those of us who've had experience in this area over the years can spot it right away that, wait a minute, this is an organized effort, and the people who are organizing it are a lot different than the people that are involved think are organizing it. One last thing, we're supposedly at a war in Afghanistan. Now, here is an article out of the Friday's Wall Street Journal, and it's Maintenance Snafu Grounds Afghan Fleet. They're talking about the cargo airplanes in Afghanistan. They can't seem to be able to get them into the air. Here you've got a situation where we're at war, and for months these airplanes have been grounded. It doesn't make any sense to me. It is a snafu, as they say, of enormous significance. I mean, if they can't even get their airplanes in the air, when they have individuals who are firing on our own troops and everything else, what does that tell you about this war, about the urgency of this war, about doing it in a way to really have victory? I mean, isn't that what war is about? Is war just to have war? Is it just to kind of mess around a little bit, have a few people killed and maimed, but nothing really comes about as a result of this war? Well, that, of course, happened in Korea, happened in Vietnam, it's happening in Afghanistan, it happened in Iraq. This is not war in the typical sense of the term, where you see it through to victory. If you wanted to have victory, that fleet would be in the air. That simple. But apparently, we're not interested in that sort of a situation. Because why? We are not under the leadership of our own Congress that should be declaring war. We're under the leadership of NATO. Read the NATO treaty. What's the first thing that you see in the NATO treaty? It is that the fact that it is a regional agreement under the Security Council of the United Nations. That's what it is. We are having our orders given to our men through the Security Council of the United Nations to NATO, to our own troops. That's how it works. They're not interested in victory. This is a prime indication of it. If they were interested in victory, those planes would be up and flying, taking and relieving the time and danger of our own troops being involved. But they're not in the air. They're sitting on the ground, and everybody's twiddling their thumbs. Until next week, we'll see you then.